8 years ago, my dad suddenly passed away. It was one of those losses that shatters everything at once. I didn't even get time to grieve properly because I had to step up for my mom and my siblings. I became the one holding everything together, even though I was breaking too. I always loved being around my dad's side of the family, but after he was gone, something changed. Invites slowed down. Calls stopped. It felt like the connection I had to them disappeared with him, like I didn't matter anymore. About 6 months later, one of my cousins on my dad's side was getting married. I genuinely love weddings and I love my cousin. So, of course, I RSVP'd yes. The invitation was for me, my husband, and our 3 kids, and I confirmed all of us. Then, just weeks before the wedding, my best friend was involved in a tragic car accident. Everything happened fast, painfully fast. My husband did everything he could, staying with the kids, arranging childcare, so I could be at the hospital with her.
She didn't make it.
And suddenly, I wasn't just grieving. I was helping her mother plan a memorial and a funeral. Days blurred together.
Sleep didn't exist.
Time didn't feel real anymore. It wasn't until messages started coming in that reality hit me. Texts from my cousin's mom, my grandma, other relatives, all surprised we hadn't shown up to the wedding. My heart dropped. I replied immediately, apologizing, explaining that an emergency came up, and admitting I completely forgot to tell them we wouldn't be able to attend. I honestly believed that would be the end of it. But then my cousin's sister started messaging me. She was upset about the catering costs. Apparently, 10 plates went uneaten because of our absence from both the rehearsal dinner and the wedding. I apologized again. I explained how sudden everything was, how short notice the situation had been. I even said that, realistically, I wasn't sure informing them earlier would have changed the catering outcome at all. She wouldn't let it go. So finally, maybe a little colder than I should have been, I told her to just send me the bill, and I muted the conversation. Not long after, my aunt called. She scolded me for how I responded and for ignoring my cousin. I apologized again, specifically for missing the wedding. I explained everything that had been happening on my end and repeated that I truly meant it about the bill. I understood how last-minute changes could feel like money wasted. She told me not to worry about the money. She said she just didn't want cousins fighting. She offered her condolences for my friend. Once again, I thought it was finally over. But at the next family gathering, it started. Little jokes. Comments about how I should have paid for all the food to make things even. I looked at my aunt, she just rolled her eyes. No one else spoke up. I stayed quiet, because I knew the moment I defended myself, I'd be the one blamed for starting a fight. It was always fine when her daughters said something, but never when I responded. At another event, more comments. Hints about how cheap it must have been for me to bring a few desserts. That was my breaking point. I decided to step away from my dad's side of the family for a while. I sent a group message to my aunts and my grandma explaining how hurt I was. I didn't ask for special treatment. I just needed space and peace. I told them not to expect us at family functions for a bit. Almost a full year went by without seeing them. I won't lie, it hurt, seeing my grandma post things like, "Best Easter we've had in years." So happy to see all my family on the 4th of July, but I focused on my husband and my kids, because in the end they mattered most. About 7 months later, my aunt invited me to a gathering at her house. She said it was time for everyone to move on. I missed them, so I went. My cousins apologized for their remarks. I apologized again for missing the wedding. It finally felt normal. For a while, there was no drama. Then, the same cousin, the original bride's sister, announced her wedding. I had recently moved and hadn't seen much family, but I RSVP'd, excited to support her. The day arrived. We showed up with a gift, wearing pastel colors, just like the dress code said. I was genuinely happy to be there. The ceremony was beautiful. She looked amazing. But when we entered the reception hall, I couldn't find our names on the seating board. A coordinator noticed my confusion and asked my name. She paused, then said calmly, "Oh, the bride listed you under guests who already ate before the ceremony. There isn't a dinner plate for you. There's a table over there so others can move freely for food." My stomach dropped. I looked where she pointed. a small folding table pushed against the wall right next to the restrooms. It felt unreal, like a cruel joke. My kids started walking toward it. I grabbed their hands, turned around, and headed for the exit. My husband hadn't heard everything yet. He didn't understand what was happening. Outside, my grandma stopped me and asked where I was going. I quietly said I was leaving. She could see me shaking, barely holding back tears. She pressed for answers. I told her no. I wasn't going to cause a scene. This was my cousin's night, and I refused to ruin it. I needed to leave now. She let me go. I didn't explain everything to my husband until we were in the car. He went silent, then tried to get out. I knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to go back in and confront someone. I stopped him. I said, "Please, let's just leave." We took the kids to a fast food place. I sat quietly in a corner, crying, finally accepting how little I truly meant to my dad's family, and realizing this was probably goodbye. People say walking away from toxic relationships is easy. It's not, because there are always good memories too, moments that make you question if it was ever really that bad. That night, my husband held me. He reminded me we don't need chaos to be family. He bought my favorite ice cream. We sat together, watching a movie, holding on to what really mattered. I turned my phone off when we left the wedding, but I knew what would happen the next morning. Messages everywhere, asking where I went, calling me rude for leaving early, saying they didn't even get to see my kids. I don't know who knew about our seating or the food situation. And honestly, I don't care. I'm not responding. They got what they wanted. Their quiet, petty revenge. This happened just last night. I, 23M, broke up with my boyfriend, Zach, 25M, and honestly, I'm still trying to process it. My cousin, 29F, just got married to her wife, 28F. It was beautiful, heartfelt, and incredibly meaningful to me. They're the first queer couple in my family to get married. And growing up, I honestly wasn't sure if I'd even be allowed to come out, let alone see two women I love and admire celebrated like this. I brought Zach with me. He's met most of my family before, and everything seemed fine. But as the reception went on, emotions ran high. A few people gave unplanned toasts, and then my cousin turned to me and asked if I wanted to say something. I took a deep breath and just said how proud I was of them, how beautiful it was to see queer love honored in front of everyone. That was it. Nothing more. Just genuine, heartfelt words. When I sat down, Zach leaned over and quietly whispered, "You know, for someone who's not even in the wedding, you're really trying to make it your moment," with a smirk. I thought he was joking and gave him a look. But then he added, "You gonna cry again? Or save it for our wedding that we're never having?" He smirked like it was nothing serious. I laughed awkwardly because I didn't want to cause a scene. I didn't want to ruin my cousin's special day. But inside, I felt a pang, hurt, confusion. Why would he mock a moment that meant so much to me? Later, back at our hotel, I brought it up. I told him his comment hurt me. I explained that he knew how important this wedding was to me, and it wasn't just about crying or sappiness. It was about seeing love celebrated, feeling safe in my family, and witnessing a moment I've always dreamed of. He brushed it off. "Jesus, you're still on that? It was a joke. You were getting so sappy, I thought you were going to propose." I tried to explain calmly. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't appreciate him making me feel stupid for caring. But he kept calling me sensitive, saying I was overthinking everything like always. And that was it for me. That was the line I couldn't cross anymore. I told him I was done. I packed my stuff. I called a friend, and I left. Since then, he's texted me, saying I made a scene out of nothing, that I chose a weird hill to die on, and that I'll regret throwing away a good thing over a dumb joke. Here's the thing, it wasn't about a joke. It was about respect, empathy, and being seen. It was about protecting my emotional well-being. It was about not letting someone belittle a moment that mattered to me. Sometimes, the hardest part of growing up queer isn't society. It's realizing who in your life actually values and supports you, and who treats your feelings as a joke or an inconvenience. I may have ended a relationship last night, and yes, it hurts, but I won't regret choosing my dignity and emotional safety over someone who couldn't understand or honor it. So, if you've ever felt like someone laughed at what mattered to you, or made you feel small for caring deeply, know this. It's okay to walk away. It's okay to protect your heart, because some hills are worth dying on, and this was one of them. Love yourself enough to set boundaries. Cherish the moments that truly matter. Don't let anyone make you feel less than for feeling deeply. If you like this story, hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe now for more real-life stories. Check out our channel for similar content. Join the discussion on Reddit for reality talk, and stay tuned for more stories from the USA. Every story matters, so don't just watch. Like, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear it.